We are we're starting with Challah today or
Master Shani. Let's finish
Master
off
Shani.
the
Okay.
Master Shani.
Master Shani, uh, Daled, right? Right. Okay. No, sorry. Daled Hay. If one was standing on the threshing floor but not had money at his disposal, he may say to his fellow, "This produce is given to you as a present." And then he says, "This is redeemed with the money that is in the house." If he drew from him Meiser Shorasella, and before he could redeem its price stood at 2 sellers, he gives him a seller and profits by 1 seller, and the Meiser Sheni is his. If he drew from him Meiser for 2 sellers, and before he could redeem it, his price stood at 1 seller, he gives him a seller from Chulin and a seller from his own Meiser Sheni, and if he was an Amaretz, he gives him from a Damai. If he redeemed Ma'aser Sheni but did not designate it, Rabbi Yossi says it suffices, but Rabbi Yehuda says it must specify. If one was speaking to a woman about her divorce or a betrothal and gave her a bill of divorce or a gift of betrothal without specifying, Rabbi Yossi says it suffices, but Rabbi Yehuda says he must specify.
Okay.
Okay.
Also do Hey Yudalad.
Hey, wait, so um,
You went to the one further back, so
I skip one. Hey,
no, you went. You didn't skip any. That was the previous set of Mishnayos. That's from a week ago. We went from yesterday now.
okay, hey, you darling.
Right at the end.
Okay, I got it right. Let me, hey, 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 hello. Hi. Hey, you darling. Yeah. My wife says that's who I like my coffee. Okay. Didn't know you were on. Hey, you Dalid. How do you redeem never revive? He places the basket before three and says, "How much does a person want to redeem for himself for a seller with a provision that the expenses he borne or his household?" And he puts down the money and says, "Anything gathered
No,
from
no,
this
no,
is
no, no. Where are you? We
you
want.
said, "Hey, Dalid,
Hey Yud Dalad. Yud Dalad.
good Dalid."
Yes.
I thought I was too far ahead. Okay.
Mhm.
You Dalid. Okay. 14. Hence they said Israelites in environment make the confession, but they're not proselytes. But nor free bondmen, nor since they did not receive a share in the land, Ramea says, nor priest, nor Levium, since they did not receive a share in the land, Rabbi Yossi says they have the cities with outskirts. Yochanan, the high priest, abolished the Ma'aser confession. He also abolished the awakeners and the strikers until his days the Hammer used to be in Yisraelim. And in his days, no one needed to ask Demai. And Colin, we have And Kala was, if he eats one of them, an olive bulk of matzah on Passover, and he fulfilled his obligation in olive bulks of chametz, he is liable to chares. If one of them became mixed up with the other kinds, it is transgression on Passover. If one vows to abstain from bread and tuva, they are forbidden to him. So says Reb Meir, but the Chachamim say, if one vows to abstain from dagan, he is prohibited from these oni, and they are liable to challah and maishras. I don't know why I started in the
Yeah,
wrong
why did
place.
you start there? That was mine, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that was mine. You skipped Aleph. Did you?
I'm doing very well today. Okay.
Okay.
Rye species are liable to challah. Wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and rye. They are liable to challah and combine with one another. And they are forbidden on account of Kadash before Passover. And he redeemed before the Omer. And if he took root before the Omer releases them. But if not, they're forbidden until the next Omer. Okay. All right. You can go now.
Okay,
I'm done.
now my turn. Okay, so ha'ochel lehem kazayis matzah b'Pesach. Okay, so we just finished Pesach, and if you any one of those five grains, you can make matzah out of. Yatzeh yadecho baso. Kazayis chametz, and the flip side of that coin is that you can only make matzah out of things that can become chametz. Right. So if you eat kazayis of chametz, then you're chayav b'hi kares. Okay. Nis arif echad mehem b'chol haminim harei ze over b'pesach. And if you have a taroves, if you have a mixture of any of these grains with something else, you're chayav but not kares. It's still asur, but it's not kares if you don't eat chametz ba'ein. Um, Hanoder min ha-pasul min ha-tevua asur bahim divrei Rabbi Meir. So if somebody takes a neder and says, I'm not going to eat any bread or any produce. Then he's also from these five species of grain specifically, says Rabbi Meir. Chachamim omrim hanoder min hadagan eino aser me'ela mehen. He said the term is dagan, not tavua. So
Mhm.
dagan is what encompasses these five species. V'chayvin b'chala uva masros, and all of these species are chayav in chala and in masros. Now, why do we mention chala and masros now? Because we're going to contrast it with the coming Mishnayos, where we're going to see other combinations of chayav in chala but not in masros, chayav in masros but not in chala. Okay, so that's what we carry on with in Mishnah Gimel. Elu chayvin b'chala upatur min masros. So the following things, you need to take challah from them, but you don't have to take masros. And when we say masros, you don't have to take truma off them either. But that's the this is our category over here. Leket shicha peah. So gifts to the poor do not have to have masros taken off them. Okay, hefker, pater from trumas and masros. Maser rishon shenitla trumaso, and maser rishon that was given to a Levi, or that and the truma has already been taken. Maser sheni v'hekdesh niftu, and any produce maser sheni and hekdesh that have been redeemed. Mosar omer, the leftover from the korban omer, which is eaten by the kohanim. Wait, no, Mosar Omer is, if it's eaten by the kohanim, then why would they need to take truma? Hold on a second, let me just check. Why would they need to take challah? Mosar Sorry, I'm just, okay. Right. So you put in that. So it gets redeemed. So the Mosar HaOmer can be redeemed and even purchased by Israelim. And if they make dough out of it, they don't have to give masros of it, but they do have to give challah. The tvua shelo hevi ashlish, and also grain that did not mature to a third. So if you manage to make a bread out of it, you still have to give challah from it. So all these cases, there's no din of trumas and masras, but
Mhm.
if you make a bread out of it and there's a sufficient quantity, then you still have to take challah. Rabbi Eliezer he says that this unripe grain that was turned into bread also it's not even called bread, and therefore you don't have to take challah out of it, but the halacha follows the Tanna Kama. Mishnah Daled, he has the opposite. Elu chayavin b'masro, so putur min challah. So you do have to take maser from this, but there's no challah. And of course, what's it going to be? Anything that's not the five grains. Orez, rice, dochan, millet, pragim is poppy. Sumsamin is sesame, kitnios is legumes, pachos mi chameshes revaim beturah, and a quantity of less than 5/4 of a kav of grain. So even if you're using wheat, but you're making a small quantity of it, you don't have to give challah.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, the produce still had to have trumas and masros taken off it.
Yeah.
Sufganin is like a sponge bread, duv shanim, and a honey kind of bread, I guess. How do they translate it again?
They say sponge cakes and honey cakes.
Honey cakes. There we go. Va is a kind of
They call it, it's called paste balls made of light dough baked in a frying pan.
v'chalas hamashres, and again these chalas hamashres is translated
Pancakes. They call it pancakes.
right. So all of these things, because they are fried, not baked. If they're fried, not baked, then there's
Right.
no din of challah. Meduma, and also meduma is meduma is chulin mixed with truma.
Come on.
So because it has to be eaten by a kohen, the kohen himself is going to be baking it, and therefore there's no need to separate challah.
Oh,
Okay, paturin mina challah. Okay,
oh, good. Okay.
right. Let's go back to
So
trumos.
I forgot that we finished Meister Shani yesterday, so I don't know what I was doing. Okay. All right. We're on to Meister's Truma. Truma. Yud Zion. If one pickled olives of Chulin and Truma and with Truma olives, whether crushed ones of Chulin with crushed ones of Truma, or crushed ones of Chulin with whole ones of Truma, or in Truma water, they're forbidden. But whole ones of Chulin with crushed ones of Truma are permitted. If one pickled an unclean fish with clean fish, if an unearthen vessel holding two saws or the unclean fish weighs 10 zuz in Judean measure, which is 5 saws in Galilean measure, its brine is forbidden. Rabbi Yehuda says a quarter and 2 saws, and Rabbi Yossi says 1/16 of it. And, if unclean locusts were pickled with clean locusts, their brine is not rendered unclean. Rabbi Zadok testified that the brine of unclean locusts is clean. All right.
Okay.
And on
Yes.
to
Next is Demai.
okay. We have if one rents a field from a non-Jew, he must give tithe and give it and give it him and give it. I can't read this one up here and give it to him. Rabbi Yehuda says also one who he leases from a non-Jew as field of his father's must tithe and give it to him. If a priest or a Levite released from an Israelite, just as they share the chula, they also share the truma. Rabbi Eliezer says the Maaseh also belongs to them, for they came on that condition. If an Israelite leased from a priest or from a Levite, the maestros belong to the landowner. Rabbi Ishmael says if a provincial lease from a Jerusalemite, the Maestro Sheni belongs to the Jerusalemite, but the can come and say the provincial can go up and eat it in Jerusalem. Okay.
Okay.
On to go. Okay. Nagayim. Yud Aleph. Yud Daled. Blonde hair that preceded the Nesek is tahor. Rabbi Yehuda renders the tameh. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says it does not render tameh, but it does, nor does it save. Rabbi Shimon says nesek in that which is not a symptom of a tumor is a sign of tahara. How do we shave a nesek? He shaves around it, leaving two hairs immediately adjacent to it so that the spreading will be noticeable. If the Kohen confirmed the nesek with blonde hair, which disappeared and reappeared, or there was an expansion either initially or at the end of the first week, at the end of the second week or after having been declared tahor, the nesek maintains its previous status. If the Kohen confirmed the nesek with expansion, which disappeared and returned, and the same with blonde hair, at the end of the first week, at the end of the second week, or after having been declared tahor, it remains as it was. Two nesachim, side by side, are separated by a row of hair. If the row of hair is then split in one place, the nesek is atame. The nesachim atame. In two places, the nesachim are tahor. How wide must the opening be? 2 hairs wide. If the row of hair split in only one place, even if it split the width of a grist, the nesachim are tameh. Okay.
Okay, Avos.
Not talking today.
Okay.
Avos.
Hey, base.
Okay. Hey, base. There were 10 generations from Adam to Noah. This is to show how much patience exists before him. For all those generations angered God increasingly until he brought upon them the waters of the flood. There were 10 generations from Noah to Avram. This is to show how much patience exists before him. For all those generations were increasingly contemptuous before God until Avram came and took upon himself the reward for all of them. In 10 tests, our father Abraham, peace be on him, was tested and he stood up to all of them. This is to make known how great is the endearment of our father Abraham, peace be on him. With 10 trials, our forefathers tried the Holy One, blessed He, in the wilderness, as it said, they have tried me 10 times that have not listened to my voice. 10 miracles were performed for our ancestors in the Holy Temple. The woman ever miscarried because of the fragrant smell of the sacrificial meats. The sacrificial meats never became spoiled. A fly was never seen in the temple butchering area. A seminal discharge never occurred to the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. Rains never extinguished the fires of the altar fire, and the winds overcame the column of smoke rising from the top of the altar. No cause for disqualification was ever found in the Omer, the Shtei HaLechem, or the Lechem Hapanim. They who assembled in the temple would be standing crowded together, yet prostrated themselves in ample space. No snake, no scorpion ever harmed anyone in Jerusalem, and no man ever said to his friend, "This space is too restricted for me to stay in Jerusalem." Okay.
Oh, damn. Okay, we went one too far.
Okay, so I'll stop.
Hey was meant to be for tomorrow. Okay.
Uh,
All right. Yavamos.
Vamos.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Test. Okay. If one's wife said she died and one said he did not die, the one who said he died may marry and collect ketubah, while the one who said he did not die may not marry and collect her ketubah. If one said he died and one said he was killed, Rameir said, since they contradict each other, they may not remarry. Rabbi Yehuda said, and Rabbi Shimon say, since both agree that he is deceased, they may remarry. If one witness said he died and one witness said he did not die, or a woman said he died and a woman said he did not die, she may not remarry. If a woman went overseas with her husband and then she came and said, my husband died, she may remarry and collect a ketubah, but her co-wife is forbidden. If she was a Yisrael's daughter, married to a Kohen, she may eat truma. These are the words of Rev Tarfon. And Rev Kiva says this is not the way to deliver her from sin. Rather, let her be forbidden from remarrying and forbidden from eating truma. If she said, my husband died and then my father-in-law died, she may remarry and collect a ketubah, but her mother-in-law is forbidden. If she was a Yisrael's daughter married to a Kohen, she may eat truma. These are the words of Reb Tarfon. Reb Akiva says this is not the way to deliver her from sin. Rather, let her be forbidden from marrying and forbidden from eating truma. If someone betrothed one of five women but did not know which one he betrothed, and each one says, I am the one he betrothed, he should give a bill of divorce to each one, leave the ketubah between them, and withdraw. These are the words of Reb Tarfon. Reb Akiva says this is not the way to deliver him from sin. Rather, let him give a bill of divorce and a ketubah payment to each one. If someone stole from one of the five people but did not know which one he stole, from which one he stole, and each one says he stole from me, he should leave the stolen amount between them and withdraw. These are the words of Rav Tarfon. And Rakiva says this is not the way to deliver him from sin. Rather, let him pay the stolen amount to each one.
Okay,
If, all right, good. Okay.
we're done.
All right. Thank you so much. Sorry
Okay.
for my mistakes today. I was
Have
your
a
son came
lovely
home.
day.
I assume your son came home okay. Everything got good. Came home.